Share, come on. Come on. It's a red hot mic. It's a red hot mic. Come on, like, share, and subscribe to the red hot mic. Come on.
In our current global climate, we're facing challenges never before experienced by this generation. Oppositions where no one seems to have clear directions or answers to the risks facing us. Confrontations like racial and gender unrest, political gerrymandering, toxic leadership, economic crisis, global pandemic, health threats, pre-existing medical conditions, isolation, boredom, and loneliness are driving people to desperation. As a result, people are confused, afraid, anxious, and perplexed, and they need answers to some tough questions and even tougher situations. They are looking into different outlets for answers to gain assurance and consolation. Some have drawn closer to the embrace of family, while others look more towards their friendships, education, and even religion. What we need is a fresh voice of truth and clarity, and not a stale religious echo from the past. There's a re-emerging voice on the horizon that isn't afraid to stand alone and give spiritual and mentally sound direction to a world searching for answers. G. Alfred Palmer offers a voice of sound human development and empowerment to those willing to hear. There's a need for new ideas to old principles, a perspective from a timeless origin, but with current vision, a thought leader who understands what it means to stand alone and speak truth when some are hard of hearing. But if you've been waiting to hear a voice that opens the gates of freedom and breaks the shackles of confusion to allow you to step forward into the dawning of a new and exciting future, then it's time to bridge the gap with Dr. G. Alfred Palmer. He is a dynamic speaker, thought leader, and entrepreneur. equipped to elevate, expand, and extend the development, empowerment, and leadership of his audiences. He stands ready to speak at your next event. His delivery is guaranteed to refresh, entertain, and transform. G. Alfred Palmer bridges the gap from uncertainty to the purpose, to passion, and leadership. Book him today for your next event, and you won't be disappointed.
Come on in this house. Come on in this house. It's the Red Hot Mic. It's the Red Hot Mic. Come on. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Come on in this house. Come on in this house. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's the Red Hot Mic, and I am your host, G. Alfred Palmer. Welcome to another edition of the Red Hot Mic. Oh yeah, come on, hit it, hit it. Oh yeah, come on. Feel that bass, come on. Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's that time. You hear that bell ringing? It's time. It's time to go to battle. It's time to do what we gotta do. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That bell is ringing. Oh yeah, you may laugh. You may cry. But I'm gonna roar. I'm gonna roar. Come on, come on, come on, come on. It's that time. It's time to ruminate, elevate, and to activate. It's time to ruminate, elevate, and activate on the Red Hot Mic. Oh yeah. Let's do this one time. Hear that bass. Feel that bass. Come on. Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's that time. Yeah. It's that time. It's that time. Come on. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Come on. Yeah. It's the Red Hot Mic. And I'm with my host, Eddie Lamar. As usual, he holds my hat for me. It's time to get started. It's time to ruminate, elevate, and activate. All right. All right, all right. It's the Red Hot Mic, and I am your host, G. Alfred Palmer. Welcome. Welcome. Come on in this house. There's lions out there. There's lions out there. Come on in this house. It's my pleasure, truly an honor, to be with you one more time on the Red Hot Mic. And I am your host, G. Alfred Palmer. And I am excited about this opportunity of coming and sharing with you. And if you can see the title, it is Why Don't You Get Married? Why didn't you get married? You know, it's a very serious question, very serious question that needs to be answered. And so we're going to get into that tonight. We're going to talk about that tonight. So folks, I'm hoping that you'll gain something from it. I'm hoping that you'll grow. I hope that you'll ruminate. Don't just shut me out. Ruminate. You know what to ruminate means? Ruminate means to literally to ponder, to just allow it to settle in and to marinate. You ever let some food marinate, meat marinate before you cook it? You ever let it marinate before you go ahead and put it on that grill, right? So that's what we're going to do tonight. I'm hoping that you would just let it ruminate. Don't shut it off. We can't grow when we shut things off. But not only do I want you to let it marinate, but I want you to allow it to cause you to elevate to another station, another place in life, in your journey, and what you're supposed to do and supposed to be. It's important. It's important. We get rid of this so we can see each other. How you doing? It's good to have you one more time. But it's not only good. I don't just want you to ruminate. I don't want you to just elevate, but I want you to activate. Activate means that you go out and you put it into practice to begin to do what you hear on the Red Hot Mic. Now listen, I know that the Red Hot Mic may be a little different than what you're used to or what you're accustomed to, but I'm asking you to just share. If you would do that, like, share, hit the notification bell. Allow this to go to someone else. If it's not for you, maybe it's for someone else. Maybe it's for someone that you know, you love, you care about. Maybe this is something that they need to hear. So would you do that? Would you hit the like, the share, and the notification bell? But I want, before I go any further, I want to just let you know that I am G Alpha Power, your host, and here's a toast to you, to all that you are, and all that you shall be. Pomegranate juice, good for you, and antioxidant. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited about this particular session that we're going to have together. I'm excited because of what's in store. We got to get rid of some things. I don't want to be too much of a distraction, but I want you to be able to hear what's going on here tonight. Well, I'm excited because why don't you get married? Why didn't you get married? Why didn't I get married? Why didn't they get married? It's all about us. You know, I know that a lot of people are totally fed up with hearing about the Will Smith situation. Now I understand that some of you may be tired of hearing it, but this is what I would say to you. The reason why you're tired of hearing it is because you haven't applied it. You haven't applied it. So many people say, well, they do, let them do whatever they want to do, yada, yada, yada. But the bottom line is what goes on is not just for them, it's for all of us. It's for us to, again, ruminate, elevate, and activate. But those that would say that they don't want to hear about it because that's those people's business, well, those people are an object lesson for us to grow, for us to elevate, to extend, and to expand. And we can do that if we would just hear. Don't be so quick to put aside things that happen because those things can be used as a lesson, a means of us developing in our own selves, how we can move forward in our own lives. So it's not about always about just letting people live their own life and minding your own business. Well, yeah, I get that. I understand we should mind our own business, but our business is each other. That is our business. We are each other's brother's keeper. And as a keeper, what we need to do is not only learn from, but it's not a matter of us putting them down, but it's learning from their example, learning from what they're going through, and the example that's being broadcast. So to just say that I'm tired of hearing about it says that you have not gained and learned from what has happened for you to elevate, to expand and extend. And that's why I want to continue to move forward in this. Now, if some of you have been following me, you know that I've been talking about human development long before this particular situation took place a few weeks ago. And so it's not about Will and Jada. It's really not. It's about you and I. It's about us growing. It's about us moving forward. And the only way that we can do that is to be willing to hear something and to talk about some things that may not be comfortable for us, not for them. Okay? All right. So I'm going to start with um, a quote that I caught a couple of days ago because I've gone back and I've looked at some things around. A lot of content creators have put on a lot of things about Will Smith and uh, and Chris Rock and also Jada Pinkett Smith, and so we hear a whole lot about what's going on, and then I heard something about that was said by August Alsina, who had what was called an entanglement, but it was an adulterous affair with Jada Pinkett Smith. And so, what I would like to do is to just talk a little bit about that quote, because what August said in a nutshell, he said that Will and Jada had gone through a transition in their relationship. They were moving from marriage to partnership. They were moving from marriage to partnership. So I want to talk about that tonight. I want to talk about those two concepts, marriage and partnership. And it's important that we understand what they are. And if we, in understanding what they are, what we can do is we can better enter into the proper type of relationship that we're looking for. And if we're looking for whatever we're looking for, that we can best get it. So before I go into that, I have to go back and I have to set the stage. I have to set the stage well before marriage. I have to go back into the very point that humanity was created, even before humanity was created. Before humanity was created, there were two energy sources or energy resources, if you would, that came from a source. Okay. Now some would call that source God, some would call it the Great Spirit, some would call it energy, some would call it whatever you want, whatever you choose, God, whatever you choose to call it. But that source supplied two energy sources, and we call them binary energies. Binary energies. Now, some people have an issue with the whole idea of binary energies. They think that right now many are going to the idea of non-binary, and they think that as a result they have resisted the idea of personal pronouns and things of that nature, because they think that you can be whatever you want to be, and that you don't, and no one can dictate to you what you are. Well, that's a dangerous concept. That's a dangerous mindset and a dangerous ideology, because that will lead to individual destruction. It will lead to a place of desolation, of loneliness. Okay, so my goal is not to be religious, because I'm not a religious person, but I am going to endeavor to share some things that's going to be more spiritual. Now, I've said this many a time. I don't believe that the biblical narrative is a religious book. I believe it's been made a religious book. We have all kinds of books that we have taken and made them something that the author didn't intend for it to be. So I think that's what the biblical narrative has been used. Some people will make it a racial document. Some people will make it a not only a racial document, but a racism document, or a slavery document, or whatever. But if we can go past those isms and we can get to the place of the energy, and the two energies were masculine and feminine energy, and the understanding that the masculine and feminine energies, when they were in the great beyond, before Earth was Earth, those energies were not genders. Those were energies. Just like I just said, they were energies. They were operations, okay, that would function in a specific way that came from the mind of the source. So the source says that this is the way masculinity is supposed to operate. This is how femininity is supposed to operate. Now, let's identify what masculine and feminine are. Masculine, because it is not a gender, we've got to understand that masculine penetrates, inserts, injects, and pierces. That's the operational or the functionality of masculine. It penetrates, it inserts, injects, and pierces. That's critical. Those are critical points to understand. It is not about gender. It's about function. And function is all about what's in the mind of the creator of how it's supposed to function and properly function, legally function, and legitimately function. Okay, that's important for us to know. I continue to say this over and over, and you're going to continue to hear it because you don't get it just because you hear it once. You hear it over and over and over again. The more you hear it, the more you will be able to retain it. The more it will be able to help you to change your mind about the way you think about some things. So, masculinity, masculine energy, right? We talked about that. How it operates, how it functions. Well, how does feminine energy function? Feminine energy functions by incubation, nurturing, receiving, securing, and strategizing. That's what feminine energy does. It is not feminine as in a gender because this was before gender was created. The creator, the source, made everything. See, before anything can be made, there has to be an environment, a place for it to be housed, for a place for where it can reside. So before anything in this realm could be created, there had to be energies to house them. And also not only to house them, but these are principles that set forth the foundation of how things are going to operate in this sphere once the transformation and transition takes place. Now, it's important to understand. I know I'm going somewhere. Just follow me. If you can't, follow me. I know some people will say, well, I don't want to hear anything about religion. Okay. All right. Well, this is not for you. This is not for you because, well, I'm not even talking about religion. I get it. I agree. I don't want to talk about religion. I don't. I don't want to talk about religion, but I will talk about spirituality because spirituality is the essence and it is the principles from which we come. It is the essence and the principles from which we come. And so it's important that we be able to talk about those things. I'm not going to read you Bible verses. I'm not going to try to convince you. I'm just going to state principles. Now, what about principles? Principles are important because principles come before religious ideology. Principles come before any type of laws. Principles precede everything. Principles set the foundation for everything. That's why if you live by principles, even whatever the law is, you won't violate because above laws are principles. So if we live by principles, and these are principles that we're talking about, the energy of masculine and feminine are principles. Just like love is a principle, faith is a principle. Those aren't scientific. Well, they became laws, but before they become laws, they're principles. Principles always are the foundation and give the legitimacy and the legality for every law that we have in this realm. It's the foundation of it. So if we live by principles, we can't violate laws because the principles supersede laws. See, sometimes laws that people make, they make them to fit their own interests. But if we are operating and functioning according to principle, we won't violate law. We won't violate law. Okay? So it's important. It's important. So let's move on. So we're talking about the idea that masculine and feminine, binary energies. Now, these binary energies came into this atmosphere. They were literally came into this atmosphere, and when they came into this atmosphere, something had to happen because everything has to be done lawfully. Everything has to be done legitimately. It cannot violate. Anything that violates and would have dismissed and annihilated everything and kept everything from happening. But understand what happened. Masculinity and femininity, what I just explained to you, masculinity is to inject, penetrate, insert, and to pierce. And it had to come and pierce into this realm, into this dimension called Earth, into this realm that we live in. Now, what's important to understand is that femininity does not do those things. It cannot. And if it tried, it would be unlawful. It will be illegitimate. So, in order for femininity to enter into this realm, masculinity had to cover it and bring it in legitimately, legally. So, it's not that masculinity is better. Masculinity has an understanding of protection to it. Has an element of protection to it, and not only protection but legitimacy, responsibility. And so from a legitimate standpoint, femininity had to be inside of masculinity to come into this sphere. It had to. If it didn't, it would have been illegitimate. Everything would have been destroyed. It would have been illegitimate. It would have been illegal. But it wasn't. So when masculinity came into this sphere, now what we've got to understand is that everything that comes into this air, into this sphere, into this dimension has to have a body. It has to have a body. Everything has to have a body. Maybe not a human body, but in this case, masculine and feminine, this energy has, in this case, which we're talking about, has to put on male and or boy and girl. Boy and girl. Every one of us come here, we've come as a boy and a girl. And we have a hard drive of principles that have been uploaded by the source company that we are to carry into the sphere. Now, once we get into the sphere, we have a physical body. Now, if we look at it, everything that on this earth has the binary energies, masculine and feminine. We have to look at it, and we'll see that everything has masculine and feminine binary. There's no more other energies. There's binary energies, masculine, feminine. In this sphere, it's to operate in this sphere. Now, when masculine and feminine came into the sphere and put on a body, that body was indicative of the energy that it was housing. If it was a masculine body, it had to have the ability to penetrate, insert, inject, and pierce innately by its build. It had to be able to do that. If it can't do that, it is not masculine. Masculine is made by the creator, sent by the source to penetrate, insert, inject, and pierce. You know, some might not like that, but that's not my problem. That's yours. So now once the masculine came into this sphere, let me back up. Now we've described what the masculine. Now the feminine came. The feminine has to also put on the same type of body design that would allow it to incubate, nurture, receive, secure, and strategize. It had to be able to do those things. This energy, this mindset, this way of being, this functionality, this operational or operation had to be enabled by the masculine and feminine. So now the male and female comes into this realm, and the male still has the feminine inside of him. He has it inside of him, but the Creator tells him that it's not good that he be all one or alone. It's not good that you be all one or alone. You're not created that way. You were supposed to be with someone. And so many of us have missed the opportunities. The person that you were supposed to be with, okay, they make mistakes. They did some things that they shouldn't have done. Whatever. Nobody's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. But you gave up on a situation that you shouldn't have given up on. Some of the same things that your grandparents and your great-grandparents went through and endured, but did not quit. We are now become so weak and so fragile that we cannot or will not. It's not that we can't, it's just that we will not allow ourselves to be used or to be hurt. But being hurt is a part of being alive. It's indicative. It's an indicator of being alive. Yes, we are going to be hurt. Everyone gets hurt. No one leaves this realm unscathed. We all get hurt. But the thing is, can we arise from that? Can we rise up from being hurt? Can we learn from being hurt? Can we go on and move forward past being hurt? Because everyone gets hurt. Okay, so here we have it. We have the masculine and feminine that have put on a design that's indicative of the energy that they were sent to house. Now, why is that important? Well, the energy that you have been sent, the suit that you wear, is indicative of the energy that you were sent, and that it is the best and the most fitting way for you to fulfill your individual purpose, the reason why you're here, the reason why you were sent. If you were sent in that masculine body, you were sent to inject, pierce, and insert, and to penetrate. If you were sent in a feminine body, you were meant to incubate, receive, nurture, secure, and strategize. So those things aren't to be resisted, denied. They're to be embraced, because that's who the Creator, the source, the parent computer company has uploaded into your hard drive. It's in the background operating. It always has been. That masculine, that feminine has always been there. That mission, that assignment has always been there. You've seen it, you've heard it, you slept and dreamt about it. It's something that you are supposed to be doing. But see, here's the thing. Right now, we're going through some relationship problems. And I want to tell you something. Relationship problems that we're seeing in our community, culture, and clan are the very things that we have got to learn to settle. Because here's the problem. There is a war going on. And the war is in relationship. Male against female, boy against girl, man, well, I'm not going to say man against woman, because that's not true. Man against women do not battle against each other. But this is what we're experiencing. We're experiencing males and females. Because what we've got to understand is this. Just because someone is grown does not mean that they are developed. Because what we're talking about, when we talk about boy, girl, we're talking about a stage of development. When we talk about female and male, we're talking about another stage of development that we're supposed to progress to from boyhood or childhood, girlhood. We're supposed to move into adolescence or femalehood or malehood. And then we're supposed to progress again and to human development and develop and move and matriculate to manhood and womanhood, adulthood. But here's what's happening. We're getting stuck. And we're getting stuck in the area of malehood and femalehood. This is where we are right now. We're stuck in a developmental stage that will not allow us to progress any further. Now, for us to progress further, we're going to have to do some things. We're going to have to do some things. And I talked about them, and you have to look at some of my other broadcasts, and understand this, that there are 3 stages. I just told you about those 3 stages of development, human development. But within those stages, there are 8 elements within each stage. You could call them subgroups or sub-elements or whatever you want to call them. But the bottom line is these are subgroups within the stages. And it's in these particular 8 areas that we find ourselves either not maturing or maturing, developing or not developing. And as a result of these 8 areas, we either become underdeveloped, overdeveloped, or developed, or undeveloped. Okay, so in understanding that some people are underdeveloped and some undeveloped, some overdeveloped, and then there's some that are developed. The only ones that's going to progress to the next phase or stage are those who are mature enough and learn and develop. Now, what are those areas? What are those 8 areas that we have to mature in? And they are chronological, philosophical, emotional, physiological, psychological, intellectual, mental, and cognitive. Now, I in some other broadcasts, I go in this more in depth. I'm not going to do that here tonight, but you can go into some of my other broadcasts and see what I'm talking about relative to these areas. Now, here's what's happening. Where life presents us different challenges. Things happen in our life. Situations occur. And situations occur. And these situations come to us and affect us in one of the 8 areas that I just mentioned. And as a result of that, it can stunt our growth, stop our growth, or dysfunctionize our growth in that particular area, cause us to operate dysfunctionally. And as a result of that, we don't operate and function the way we're supposed to. I don't know if dysfunctionize is a word, but I just made it up. So if we operate dysfunctionally, then what we're doing is we're not able to progress to the next level. And that's what's happening. We have people who are in grown bodies. They are physically grown, chronologically grown, but in the other 6 areas, they're not developed. And as a result of that, we're seeing what we're seeing. And it's an example of what we see with Will, with Jada, and with Alcina. We're looking at some folks that have not developed, and there's some things that have happened that have not been resolved. But they're not the only ones. We all have areas that we need to develop, that we need to get over, we need to deal with, because it's stunning us. It's holding us back from the maturity that we need in order for us to go forward. So it's important for us to understand that. Now, let me say this about, I need to say this about masculine. Well, I'll say it another time. I don't want to go back all the way back to the beginning. One of the things that we've got to understand is that when we come into this realm, masculine and feminine have operations, and our bodies help show what that is supposed to be and what it's supposed to look like. If you don't have the equipment to insert, penetrate, inject, or pierce, then you're not a male. And it's important that you be able to understand that and embrace what you have been sent here with so that you can best do what you're supposed to do. Now, sure, there are going to be people who are going to pick up traits, because that's the important thing that we got to understand. People will pick up the traits of a masculine person, male, will pick up the traits of a female, and vice versa. And how do they do that? They learn through observation and practice. But just because you observe and practice does not mean that you innately came here with that energy, because the body that you came with dictates what you had, what energy that you are housed to have by the Creator, not by me, not by your parents. They had nothing to do with it, nothing, but the Creator did. So now you have you have a boy that matriculates to an adolescent or malehood, and then he matriculates to manhood. And then it becomes time for him to leave his father and mother. Why? Because he now begins to challenge his in the authority that's there. It's time for him to go. So it's time for him to leave and cleave. It's time for him to leave his parents. It's time for him to leave his parents. Now, the thing that he's got to be able to do, and it's important. Fellas, listen to me. Listen to what I'm getting ready to say. This is critical. Leaving and cleaving to a wife is secondary to leaving and cleaving to your purpose. You have to find purpose. It's incredibly important. It's because of us not being able to find purpose that is causing us to make choices in relationships that are not good. Now, listen to this. When it comes to relationship, men choose relationship. Men choose relationship, and I mean sometimes some women may not like that, but the bottom line is men determine relationship. However, equally as important, women determine sex or sexual partnership or sexual interaction. See, the reason why that's important is because that is what sustains a species. That's important. That she is able to, and she chooses a sexual partner. But as equally important, but differently, is the choice of a relationship. Because in choosing a relationship determines the direction that the couple may choose to go. Now, here's something that's going to really, really turn some heads. Okay, here's what's going to turn some heads. I heard August Alsina say something about Will and Jada going from marriage to partnership. I want you to understand, marriage and partnership are not the same. So many people are looking for partners. Which if you're looking for a partner, you're not looking for marriage. Because marriage is not partnership. Marriage is not a partnership. That's important for us to understand. Marriage is a union. Marriage is two becoming one. Marriage is when a man and a woman, masculine and feminine, come together to make up one. It's not good for him to be all one, but it's good for them to be one. It's good for you to have a mate. Okay, it's good for you to have a mate. Now, is in relationship, or I should say partnership. Partnership is not marriage. Partnership is a business opportunity. Partnership means two individuals who have different responsibilities within the same sphere of influence that they've agreed to work together in. This is what Will and Jada have done. They've agreed to be partners, and that partnership is not a marriage. They aren't married. They're not married. So it's important for you to understand that marriage is a principle, partnership is a business concept. What is it that you want? Do you want a marriage or you want a business opportunity? Because a business opportunity means that if someone doesn't, a partnership means that if someone does not uphold their particular part of the partnership, the other partner can dissolve the partnership. We call that divorce. But you're not supposed to divorce because you shouldn't marry someone that you're going to divorce. Now, here's why marriage is important. Now, a lot of us, I talk about the 8 particular stages or sub elements. And in that, we find that most people pick and choose a mate from 3 of them. 3 of the 8 are the most used to decide who would be a mate. We use chronological, we use physiological, and emotional. How he makes me feel, how she makes me feel, how she looks. She fine. She fine. Is she old enough chronologically? Is she old enough? So we use those 3 means of determining what is appropriate as far as a mate goes. That's what we do. And it's those things that we've got to understand. Those things change. You're going to get older chronologically, right? Physiologically, you're going to get, your body's going to not be as tight as it was. You're not going to be as built as you was. Muscles will fade, breasts will sag, hair will be lost, right? Right? And then the emotional piece. The emotional piece changes as not from day to day, but moment to moment. We can't trust emotions. We can't make decisions on emotions because what we feel now, just wait, it'll change, right? It will change. So what we need to do, and I'm not saying we negate those, but we have to balance those. We have to balance those. We have to balance those 3. But there's 5 more. And those other 5 are the ones that are neglected when we come to choosing a mate. Those 5 things aren't business. Those are principles. Those are principles. Those are principles that help us shape and form who we are. Go back and look at some of my earlier broadcasts and you'll see what those 8 elements are. It's important. It is so very, very important. So when we look at what's going on now, what we're seeing is people are arguing and debating about whether we should have a partnership. I'm looking for a partner. This is what I hear a lot. I want someone that we're going to partner with. Now, then you don't want to be married. You don't want to be married because marriage is not a partnership. Marriage is a union. Marriage is 2 becoming 1. That's not what a partnership is. A partnership is 2 individuals maintaining their individuality and doing whatever it is that they've agreed to do. If that's what you're looking for, then that's what you should tell the persons that you're involved with, that you're not looking to be married. And I want to share this with you. That's a mistake. Here's why. I don't care who you are, gentlemen, ladies. I don't care who you are. The reason why you're here is because of purpose. Purpose has a masculine and a feminine component. two becoming one, two becoming one. It's important that you understand that what needs to happen is not you selecting your mate based on chronology, or emotional or physicality, but you've got to understand that the driving force is purpose. If you understand that the most important thing is purpose. So people say, well, what do you bring to the table? The thing that you need to understand what you bring to the table is a purpose. And if you understand and know your purpose, and you share that purpose with that other individual, and you find out that that's not their purpose, then you haven't found your mate. You haven't. Never should you settle for someone that is not going in the direction that you're going, that doesn't have the yin to your yang, doesn't have the positive to your negative. You need that. You need that based on purpose. So what you bring to the table, you should bring purpose to the table. Oh, I bring an education. I bring a job. See, if you bring purpose, purpose will fulfill all those other things. Because if you have purpose, everything else will be provided. Because purpose provides prosperity, provision, productivity, progression, you name it, purpose provides it. So what you're looking for is purpose. The most important thing is purpose. So when someone asks you what you bring to the table, your comment should be my individual purpose. My individual purpose. The reason why I was born. That's what I bring to the table. But so many people want to bring other things. I've got a car. All those things will go away. That's not why you're here. That's not why you came. Not because of your car or home. Marriage is union. Marriage is a union. So many people don't want to get married now because 80% of 75 to 80% of the children in the Black community are raised by a single parent, mostly female. 80% of divorces are initiated by the female. A single parent home, let me hear this. A single parent home is not a family. I'll say it again. A single parent home is not a family. A single parent with children is not a family. It's not. It's a clan. It's kinfolk. It's relatives, but it's not a family. A family has to have two parents, actively involved and present. That's a family. And those children are the children of the parent. Right? If they're not, it's not a family. Talk about stepchildren. My mother's husband. All these things. The bottom line is it has to be a husband, a wife, and children. And those are the children of their union. That's a family. But modern day relationship is about what I can get you to do for me. It's not what I can do for you. What is how you can better me, what I can get out of it. That's never been the objective of why you were sent. You were sent to serve, not to be served. And if you're looking to be served, you have the wrong notion. And if that person is looking to be served, then you better run away in another direction, because that person is the wrong one. The wrong one. The thing that's important about purpose is this. Anybody can bring a car, anyone can bring a home or education, all those things to the table. But when they bring purpose, that purpose can only be brought by them because every person has an individual purpose. That makes you unique. That makes you a one of a kind. But you've got to know what it is. Most people don't. Most people say, well, my purpose is my passion. Purpose and passion are not the same. They're not. Purpose and passion are not the same. And I've been sharing this for years. People just can't seem to get it. That all you hear is my purpose is my passion, and it's not. Purpose is an emotion. And we just talked about emotions. Emotions change. Your passions change. Purpose never changes. Passion is necessary, but you have to know how to use passion. But it is not purpose. I liken it to, I liken purpose to an automobile. And this automobile is traveling on a road. And this road is called destiny. Okay. Purpose is, and this road has a lot of the terrain changes. There's dips, there's rocks, there's all kinds of obstacles, there's twists and turns. That's what destiny is. And purpose is what drives you. It's driving. But what passion is the gasoline. Because as the terrain changes, so will your emotions. Not always will you be excited. Sometimes you will need not just passion, but you'll need determination, right? Sometimes as on this road, you're going to need determination. And along this road, not only determination, but you gotta have different things that will present itself. There's going to call for different types of emotions for you to answer and to continue to matriculate toward you on your destiny. So no, passion is not your purpose. That's why it's important to find purpose. And so if you find purpose and you find, and as I don't, whatever you are, man, woman, you have to find someone that has the yin to your yang, and they have the same purpose, but they have the other end of it, so that you can come together and you can matriculate together down the road of destiny. So when the breasts droop, the muscles dissipate, you have something that's more solid. Purpose. It never fades and it never changes. So if you're looking for a mate, if you're looking for a marriage, it should be with someone who has the yin to your yang in purpose. If you're looking for a partner, then you can set up a business model as to how you want that relationship to function, and understand that eventually there's going to come a time when that relationship will end. It will end. And if you're okay with that, then go for your for your partnership. Well, that's it. That's it. So why don't you get married? It may not be for you. Some people, it's not for them. And so they're looking for a partner. It's all up to you. It's up to you. What do you decide? What do you want? Well, thank you for tuning in. And oh man, we're getting under an hour. How about that? Well, for the next session, next time we come together, we'll be talking about something else that will hopefully inspire you. Hopefully that will encourage you. Hopefully will, what am I looking for? Enable you to be encouraged and elevate you and activate you. I appreciate you coming, and we're going to get ready to go out. And again, I just want to toast you.
Replace time.
We went that way. Here's to you. And to all that's good and best in you. Cheers. Until next time.